everyone. Welcome to the Happy Hustle Show. This is the first show of the year, I've just realised, because I've just had such a busy start to the year. But I'm going to be more consistent from now on. The Happy Hustle Show is normally on Mondays and Thursdays. There isn't a specific time when it starts for anyone new around here. It really just depends how my day goes and how I can fit it in. But I try to go live every Monday and Thursday. If you would like to know, so you can join me live because we can have a chat. The link to get notifications through Telegram is with this video. You should be able to see it wherever you're watching this. This video is streaming into a couple of different places. If you sign up for Telegram, which is a free app on your phone, you can opt to get a push notification every time I go live, so you can come and join me and chat to me. But you don't have to catch me live. You can watch these on replay as well. Hi to everybody watching on replay. Tonight, I want to talk about your story. This is top of mind because it's something that we are talking about over in... Oh, hi, Mariam. I was just about to go live earlier, and then I realized you were live, so I gave everybody a bit of a gap because your live was great. Didn't want to miss the end of it. So I'm talking about your story, and as I say, the reason that this is top of mind is because we're talking about it over in the Fast Track Your Happy Side Hustle program. And we're talking about the importance of having that clarity on your story and what differentiates you and why someone should buy from you, why someone should buy or connect with you as opposed to somebody else. Because there are probably other people doing similar things to whatever your side hustle is. It's likely, if there aren't, then you're probably going to have a bit of a challenge marketing. But that's another story. It is likely that there are other people out there and there is enough business for everybody. Like, this is absolutely not, I don't consider yourself as competing with other people that do similar things to you. Hi, Cassie. Think about it as just us all sharing the love. Like, there's abundance out there. There's enough things out there for everybody. There's enough customers out there for everybody. But when you're thinking about how do you differentiate you and your story, it's important to be open, but open with what you're comfortable to share. So the more people understand about you and know about you, the more likely they are to connect, the more likely they are to go, oh, that person is like me. Oh, hi, Claire. Hi, lovely to see you. That person is like me, and therefore I connect with them, I resonate with them. When you're a very, very private person, and it's just a lot to do with personality and your upbringing, isn't it? You can still be successful, but it's much more difficult for people to really become a super fan, to become that sort of, like where you're the first choice for whatever it is you offer, be it a product or a service. They would come and see if you could help them first before they would go elsewhere. Those connections build when you share your story. So I think it can be, so again, just going from conversations over in the other group, I think a lot of people think they don't have a story, that there's nothing that's particularly interesting about them, depending on what your side hustle is. Of course, Cassie, you've got a very clear story for your side hustle, and that's wonderful. And that is exactly why people are going to connect with you. And Mariam, just been hearing about your story on the live that you did over in our membership group. So you both have really clear stories already. So you probably know this. We've probably talked about this before. But for everyone else, when you're starting a side hustle, you want it to have personality. You want it to mean something. So there were a whole load of side hustles started about 2 weeks ago, or have started over the last couple of weeks, because I did an ideas challenge that ended 2 weeks ago. And there were, I think, 346 people went through that challenge. Now, don't think everybody will have gone away to start a side hustle, but I really hope a significant number of people have done that, because there were so many side hustles that were born on the Friday night and people were really excited about it. And I know it's so easy to just then go back into the real world and go, oh, I've lost a wee bit of momentum, and then just kind of forget it. So don't do that. Hang about with us in the Happy Side Hustle community and we'll keep cheering you on. But for those side hustles that have been born, it's really important now, because when a side hustle starts, it tends to be a little bit kind of faceless, because it's an idea. We haven't really kind of built it out yet. We haven't really built out the personality of our side hustle. And really it's our personality, because your side hustle is you. Until you're running an empire and we're really thinking brand and you've got a team and, you know, we have to be very sort of professional, and all of that will come, hopefully, if that's what you want, if you want your side hustle to be that big. But at the beginning, your side hustle is about you. So it's really important to be clear on what makes you interesting. Think about why you go on social media. You don't go on social media to be sold to. You don't go on social media to see pictures of hand stamped jewelry that I've made. Like, you don't go, do you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to scroll through Julie's feed and look at all those necklaces that she's made over the last week. Like, that's dull. That's not what you want. You want to know where your friends are going, who went out. I want to know how you got on last night, Cassie, when you went out for your romantic dinner. That's what I want to see on social media. I want to know what's going on in people's lives. And the more I see people's lives, the more I connect to them. And the more you connect to somebody, the more likely you are to want to support them, the more likely you are to want to kind of remain in their world. Let me just see. Hi everyone. So I'm seriously saying something. Still working on your side hustle, not launched it yet, but another week or so. Yes, and absolutely. Like, the people that went into the Fast Track Your Happy Side Hustle have not launched yet. In fact, we're all launching. I've got a suggestion of a date, Samantha, for you to launch on. So I planned this, but I didn't realize I'd planned it. And when I realized what I'd done and what date I'd set, it just became perfect. So everyone, well, the majority of people who are going through the Fast Track Your Happy Side Hustle program are launching on the 22nd of February, which is 22 to 22. If you're into numbers, if you're any slightly woo, that's an amazing day to launch in terms of energy. So yeah, I'm happy that you've not launched yet, because the fact you haven't launched yet means that you're probably doing it properly. There's a whole load of things that you want to have in place before you properly launch your side hustle. And so I suggest, if that works for you, Samantha, that you launch on the 22nd of the 2nd, 22. How cool is that? How cool is that date? How cool is that date? So yes, back to stories. When you are posting about your launch, for example, so for those of you that are still in that launch phase, when you're posting about your launch, people are interested in how you're launching. They are interested in what you're launching, but it's not going to capture people's attention enough to go, well, I'm going to start making hand stamped jewelry, which was, you know, my one of my side hustles. They're not. People will be like, oh, that's interesting. But it's much more interesting to go, and for those of you who've been around for a while, there's a really super woo reason why my side hustle is called Theta Jewelry. In fact, I'm trying to think who's on here that would know it. I think, Cassie, you probably know why. But like you, Mariam, when I was watching your video earlier, I think I probably only shared it once or twice in the whole time, but there's a super woo reason why my jewelry is called Theta Jewelry and why I even have a jewelry side hustle. It's a really interesting story. And that story is far more interesting than the fact that I set up a hand stamped jewelry business and here's some lovely pieces that I made. So what's interesting about my jewelry business is that story, which exactly, and this is why I'm doing this show, Mariam, because you prompted me to think about it. Because you hadn't shared the story about your name. When you were talking earlier, you hadn't shared the story about your name. And it just makes me remember that I haven't really shared the story about Theta. And I'll tell you why I haven't. And this is something I also want you to think about. When you're sharing a personal story, there's a couple of things. You have to make sure if someone else is involved in it, that they're okay with you sharing it, because you have to be respectful of other people. There's not really there's no one alive that's involved in my story, put it like that. And you have to make sure that you've healed from it. You know, so when you're sharing your story, if other people start talking about and asking you questions about it, you need to make sure that you can hold it together. So it has to be like, it's really good if it's something that's emotive, but you need to be talking from the like the scar rather than the raw wounds. So you need to feel that you're comfortable to share and talk about the thing. Because, so on Tuesday, for those of you that are in the Happy Hustle Hive membership community, we've got Michelle and Christian Ewan coming in to talk about PR, right? And PR is well, it's a whole load of things, but I think what they're going to talk about is getting your story out there in the press, online, on telly, out there. And the press and online and editors and journalists are not interested in the fact that you're making hand stamp jewelry. Like, I've started a hand stamp jewelry business. Maybe you want to do an article on me. Like, no, because why would they? Who's going to read that? Would you want to read that? Probably not really. Not unless you were thinking of starting a hand stamp jewelry business, and that would be a superb coincidence. But if I shared, can't decide whether I'm going to do this or not. I'll ponder this. If I shared why I started Theta Jewelry and how it came about, that's a very interesting story. That's a story that is relatively controversial, that people would have an opinion on. So what I need to decide is, am I scarred enough, like scabbed nearly, it's probably a better word, is the scab healed over on the wounds, or is it still partially open? Because if the wound is still partially open, you want to be very careful what you're sharing, because social media, as you know, can be super, super positive, or it can be super, super like upsetting. And you have control over that on your own social feed. But as soon as you start getting PR and your name is out there, like in a paper, online, on I don't know, on a news website or wherever it might be, then people start to have opinions about things. And how keyboard warriors and stuff, like if you look at the comments under news articles, like just things that are published in the BBC News or whatever, or probably more on something like the Sun or the Mail Online or something like that. If you look at the types of comments underneath that, like I think, do you know what? I think the key is, I'm probably going to ask Michelle and Christian this on Tuesday, but I think the key would be not to look at that and keep making sure that your own feed is upbeat and positive. And how you do that is by only interacting with upbeat and positive things, and by only posting upbeat and positive things. And you can very easily control your algorithm on social media in the same way as you can control your algorithm in life. Because if you're a really upbeat and positive person, people that don't like that just stay away from you. It's the same online. So I do feel I live in a predominantly joyful world. And within the Happy Side Hustle community, it's predominantly joyful. It's not, of course, all the time. Like, crap happens to us all, and like we get through it, and it's important to feel all the feels. But on the balance of time I spend in joy, because I consciously control that. But anyway, hold on, let me see. No, it wasn't Theta Brainwave. Although, Hazel, Theta Brainwave is connected to it. Theta Brainwave is connected. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you'd heard my story. I think I've actually only told it once on a challenge, so it just depended who was on that particular challenge. Yeah, Cassie, 3 years ago. Yeah, that's such a good point. And for you, like, you're such a good example of being healed, like, as in, exactly what I'm talking about. The scab's gone over the wound, so it's still very fresh, and you can still really talk passionately and knowledgeably about your journey with breast cancer, but you're able to, like, handle questions about it without breaking down. And so I think you are. I'm really looking forward to Tuesday as well. Jen, I get this. I'm still in my story, which is one of the reasons I'm not. Yeah. And Jen, when you're still in your story, then look for a past story. So when you're still in your story, like, you don't need to talk about it at all, particularly, as I say, if your story involves other people. Because if it's not a positive thing, if it's just something that you don't feel ready to talk about, definitely don't do it. But rewind and go, it's not your only story. Like, there isn't one thing that defines all of us. So my story around Happy Side Hustle is completely different to my story around Theta Jewelry. So my two side hustles both have a completely different reason why I set. Now they're connected, obviously, because I'm involved in both stories, but it's a completely different reason that I set both of those side hustles up. And when I had my hypnotherapy practice, that was a different reason again. When I had keepstakes, which was my garden plaque business, that was a different reason again. When I had my fingerless glove empire when I was a teenager, it was a different reason again. So your story evolves, and your story, like, you will have an interwoven like selection of stories throughout your life. So I think the key is just to pick one that's interesting but not raw. I guess that's probably the best way to do it. But if you think about it, so one of the questions I get asked most is, well, what do I post on social media? Like, I've run out of things to post. Just talk about you. Think about what you like to read. Forget business. Just think about, what do you like to see in your personal news feed? So I love to see when people have, like, I love to see when my friends' kids have passed their driving tests, like, and they're holding up their, like, that's wonderful. I love to see when people have had uni offers. That's the kind of age and stage that I'm at with my kids. That's what I love seeing. I love seeing when people have, like, got amazing exam results and their parents couldn't be more proud of them. Like, I really love the first day of school. I know some people are like, oh, I love the first day of school photos. I love the comparison between the first year photo and the 6th year photo. And I love all of that. I just love seeing what's going on. I love seeing people out for dinner. I'm really glad you had a lovely dinner, Cassie. I love seeing people out for dinner. I love seeing people going away for the weekend, like Sarah in the Happy Side Hustle Hive. Was away for the weekend for her birthday, and she did a couple of lives and brought us with her, and she showed us in the morning how she's got horses and dogs, and she took us alive with her to show us what her morning looks like. And that's fascinating. I love the products that Sarah, just to take Sarah Newell as an example, I love the products that she makes, but I feel so connected to her because of how well she documents her story and her journey and her life. And I want everybody to really get a sense of that. Like, whenever you go on social media, think about the things that you like to see, and it won't be sales posts, and it won't be anything negative. It won't be rants. Like, as much as rants attract attention, they make you feel like there's so many people using rants as like a draw, because you get quite a lot of comments and stuff on rants. That's not a happy side hustle tactic at all. When I see people ranting for the sake of it, and generally it's about somebody else, or sort of slyly indicating somebody else, which is just horrible. So, upbeat but vulnerable story that you've healed from. Does that make sense? Let's see. It's got to be, is one not none? Oh, right. Sorry. Yes, you're just correcting how I thought I'd said something, you were replying to it. Yeah, it's got to be right for you. I've heard it. It's brilliant. Who said that? So somebody here has just commented, but because of StreamYard, and it might just be playing up, go and click on StreamYard and let me know who this is, because I'm just trying to remember when I actually told the story. It's Rachel. So do you mean you've heard my thesis story? Is that what you mean, Rachel? The comments are just slightly delayed. So I think, yeah, I think that is what you mean. And I think, yes, I think I remember you being there. Anyway, I'll tell it another time. I will tell it another time. But my point today is, think about your story. So when you're launching your side hustle, it's not just about your side hustle. When you're promoting your side hustle, it's not just about your side hustle. It's about you, what you're prepared to share, and what is of interest to you, like what would interest other people, and then share as much as possible. Just think about exactly what you love to see on social media or read a newspaper is probably a very old-fashioned way of looking at media and getting in getting PR now, but it's still like back in the day when I had keepstakes, I was part of a 2-page spread in the Daily Record, which I don't even know if it still exists. I don't think it exists, does it? Don't know if it still exists. It was like the Scottish version of, what was it? The Scottish version of the Mirror. The Scottish version of the Mirror. Don't know if the Mirror still exists. Anyway, me and 2 friends were part of a 3-page spread there because we all set up businesses at the same time. So that was an interesting story. We were all mums with young kids who set up businesses at the same time, and we supported each other. That was an interesting story for the journalists. I also was part of a 3-person, 3 must be a thing in the press, 3-person kind of set of case studies in Red magazine about people that had made big life changes. So yeah, living your story every day, Tracy. Yeah. So Tracy, it just back to what I was saying, it depends if you feel that that's something that's still very vulnerable for you, or something that you're prepared to talk about. And if it isn't, then go back and try and find something that you do feel that you have recovered from, something that's in your past that you're happy to share, or just share part of your story. Anyway, the point of this is it's really important to share your story and not just your side hustle. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go because we're going to the pub quiz. For those of you that follow me regularly, go to the pub quiz on a Thursday night. I haven't been for a couple of weeks because I've been doing online things, but I'm not tonight. So we are going to the pub quiz in 10 minutes. So wish me luck. I should be back on Monday for the next episode of the Happy Hustle Show. It's always a random topic, but hopefully I always try and give you some value. They're usually about 15 minutes. I realize this is going on to 20 minutes. Usually about 15 minutes. I try to give you kind of one nugget of value in every Happy Hustle Show. So totally welcome to join me. Click on the Telegram link. If you clicked on the Telegram link during the 5-day challenge, it's a different one, just so you know. Just click on that link, subscribe to my channel, and then I'll send you a message to let you know what time I'm going live. You can come and join me if you want. You don't have to. Have a fantastic Thursday, a lovely weekend, everybody, and hopefully I'll see you on Monday. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye. Thanks, Mariam.